Hello guys, welcome to a new video. And in this new video, we are going to talk and configure EIGRP authentication. And there's two authentication that we're going to discuss in this video. And the first one is going to be passive interfaces and how passive interfaces work and how it can protect um, EIGRP. And then we are going to actually um, do an authentication with a keychain and a key strength using MD5. So let's go ahead and start with passive interface. But before we can do that, I have configured all the IP addresses, but I have not configured EIGRP yet. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead to um, router EIGRP 10. I always do no auto summary just because. Let's do a network 10.10.10.10.1. Now let's go ahead to router 3. Exit router EIGRP 10. Network 10.10.10.2, and we should be able to form a relationship. Here it is. Great, working perfectly just the way I wanted it. Let's go ahead back to router 1 and let's add network 10.10.2.1.8.1, and then let's go to router 2. Let me move this over here so you guys can see better. Now let's add router 2 fast Ethernet 1.0 network. So let's go ahead and add network. Actually, you need to do router EIGRP 10 network 10.10.20.2. We should be able to form an error relationship. There we go. Now let's go ahead and add this other network, which is 10.10.30.1, going to router 3. And then let's go to router 3 and add that network going to router 2. Then we should be able to form another neighborhood relationship. Here we go. So now, if you go ahead to show IP IGRP neighbors, you see that router 2 has two neighbors, 10.10.20.2, 10.10.20, 10.10.10.2. So this one is router 3, this one is router 2. You can see where is the interfaces that it's connected to. Okay, so now let's go ahead and configure passive interfaces and how passive interfaces works. Okay, so you will have to go to router EIGRP 10, and for here you have to configure passive interfaces. And what passive interfaces does is that it actually um, stops hello messages from being sent on this interface. So if you configure fast Ethernet 0/0, this one right here, what it's going to do is that this interface is not going to send hello messages anymore. And what hello messages does is that it actually establishes EIGRP neighbors, right? And if we do not send EIGRP hello packets, we won't be able to um, establish or maintain a neighbor relationship. So if we go ahead and do that, you're going to see that immediately the interface went down. So if we do show IP EIGRP neighbors, you can see now that we only have one neighbor, and it is uh, router 2. We only have one neighbor because I blocked fast Ethernet 0/0 from sending hello messages. And since it's not sending EIGRP hello messages on that 224.0.0.10, which is a multicast um, IP address where EIGRP sends messages, it's not going to be able to establish that neighbor relationship. So we can turn it off by saying no. And then when you say no, there you see, now we have formed a neighbor relationship and we should have two neighbors. There we go. You could also block the one going to router 2, and that's going to, actually we don't say no, we say passive. There we go. Here we go. Now it went down. And if we go and see our neighbors, you can see that we are only have a neighbor relationship with router 3, and now with router 2. So let's go ahead and say no, so we can form that neighbor relationship again. There we go. And there we go. We have the two neighbors back. So that is a way um, that you can do your ERP authentication or security, right? So that's a way where you could that's a way that you can secure ERP by blocking interfaces from from sending hello messages, because sometimes you don't want, let's say that this is a facet in a 0/0 is going to be connected to a PC only, and you do not want a router to be connected to it. What you could do is just do a passive interface, passive in a 0/0, because you know by fact that um, you want a computer connected to it and not any routers or anything like that. Okay, and also another way to turn this passive interface on is by, if you do a question mark, you can see that you can do a lot. You can have loopbacks, you can have fast Ethernet, port channels, zero interface. You can even have a tunnel, virtual point to point, virtual template, token ring, and a lot. And then at the end, you can see that we have this default, right? And what this default does is that it actually enables um, it enables passive interface on all interfaces. So as you can see now that both my neighbors went down, and that's because when you do a passive interface default, it enables passive interface on every single one of the interface. So now I'm blocking fast Ethernet 0/0 and fast Ethernet 1/0 from sending hello messages. And if we cannot send hello messages, your JP hello packets, we won't be able to form or maintain neighbor relationship. Okay, and there's a great way to make sure that you are only allowing your ERP neighbors on interfaces that you want. So what you could do is um, enable passive interface default, and then after that, just do no passive interface, because I want that interface up, right? I want to form a neighbor relationship with router 3, and then I also want to form a neighbor relationship with router 2. So we can just negate by doing no passive interface 0/0, and then no passive interface 1/0. Okay, so that is a great way to do this. All right, so now let's go ahead and move up or move on, and now let's actually do some real authentication on Cisco routers. Okay, let me go ahead and move this to this side so we can have, oops, so we can have both the console and you can also see the topology. Okay, so what we are going to do now is that we are going to enable authentication on this router. Okay, and the way to do that is you have to go to global config and you have to do a keychain. Um, sorry for that, guys. So there's a lot of stuff here. Sorry for that, guys. Config T. So what you need to do is do keychain, and here on the keychain, you have to name it whatever you want. Well, I'm going to name it my name, and just remember this is case sensitive. Okay. So here on the keychain, after you create your keychain, on this keychain is going to be used to actually hash and authenticate your password that we're going to be using. So we have formed a keychain right here. Now, after we form the keychain, we have to create a key, and we're going to just call the key 1. And just remember, guys, this one actually needs to match. This one is globally, um, it needs to match in router 2 and router 3. If this one does not match, we won't be able to authenticate. So just remember that. All right. After that, we need to do a key string, and we can just call it top secret. There we go. And then after that, we have created our keychain and our key string that we're going to be using. So now what we could do, what we have to do next is we have to go to fast Ethernet 0/0. And from here, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and enable um, IP authentication, and the mode that we're going to be using is going to be EIGRP. And which one is the autonomous system that we have been using? Is EIGRP 10. So just remember your autonomous system, EIGRP 10. And which one are we going to be using? MD5. There we go. Then after that, um, you can see that the authentication went down because we actually enable the authentication mode MD5. And since router 3 is not using any authentication, it went down because they are not able to authenticate. So another thing that you have to do is IP authentication keychain. We need to add the keychain EIGRP 10. And what are we going to call this right here? We need to call that name that we first gave it. So this one right here. And it needs to match, and it is case sensitive. Just remember that, guys. All right. Now there it is. Um, Working beautifully. So now let's go to router 3 and do the same. As you can see right here, authentication failure. It failed to authenticate. So we keep getting that error because we're not able to authenticate with router 1. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and call it keychain asker. Then let's form a key. Remember this one needs to match. Key 1, just the same as router 1. Then after that, let's do a key string. We call it top secret. Okay, great. Then after that, let's go to fast Ethernet. Let's go ahead and enable IP authentication mode EIGRP 10 MD5, and then IP authentication keychain EIGRP 10, and let's call the keychain that we created, which is Asker. It needs to match over here, Asker. There we go. After that, we should be able to form a neighbor relationship, and there it is. Now we should be able to ping 10.10.10.1, which is router 1. Great. So we are able to ping router 1 and also do show IP EIGRP neighbor. There we go. We have the two neighbors. Great. Now let's go ahead back to router 2 and let's now enable authentication on fast Ethernet 1/0, which is a 1 going to router 2. So IP authentication mode EIGRP EIGRP 10 MD5, and it's going to go down. There it is. So now since it went down, do show IP EIGRP neighbors. You see now that we only have one neighbor, and it is router 3. Okay. So now let's go ahead and finish this one over here. Authentication keychain EIGRP 10 Asker. There it is. And now let's go ahead to router 2. You can see that we're not able to authenticate. So let's go ahead and exit. Let's do a keychain. Let's actually call it Cisco on this instance, and then key one. This one needs to match the same as router one. And if you do exit, let's see, you could probably do a bunch of, there we go. You can do a lot of keys, okay? Just just telling you guys that you don't have to just make one. Key string, we can call this tab secret, all right? And then after that, we can do exit interface, fast ethernet 1/0, IP authentication, mode EIGRP 10, MD5, then IP authentication again, authentication key chain EIGRP 10, and then it's called Cisco because it's we named that keychain Cisco. Now we should be able to form a new relationship. There it is, back again. And now show EIGRP neighbors. There we go. You can see that we have two neighbors. Okay, so that is a good way, and that not a good way. That's how you actually configure authentication in with EIGRP. And also another command that you could probably use is debug EIGRP packets. Here you can see a lot of stuff going on. You can see every couple seconds the EIGRP packets being sent. As you can see, they are hello messages. And that is a good way to actually know. And you can see that EIGRP received a packet with MD5 authentication. The key ID was 1. KD is 1. Um, we are sending and we are receiving hello packets with MD5 authentication, and the key ID is 1. Okay. Um, so this is all for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoy this authentication video or security video actually by using we use passive interfaces. I show you how to configure passive interfaces using two different ways, right? Using the passive interface default and also using the passive interface, and then after that using um, the passive interface and then the interface name. And then after that, we did some keychain and we authenticate using MD5 and keychain 1, key strings, and all of that good stuff. And then to finish, I show you an IP EIGRP debug command, which is a debug EIGRP packet. Okay, guys, so thank you guys for watching this video. And if you haven't done so, go ahead and follow me on Twitter at CCNA Daily Tips, and you can go ahead and see my goofy face. Only 499 followers, almost up to 500. So if you guys like the video, go ahead and follow me on Twitter if you have a Twitter account. If you don't have a Twitter account, go ahead and create a Twitter account and then follow me. All right. And if you like the videos, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I only have 88 subscribers, which is not bad, but I have over 120 videos. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.